On Christmas Eve of 1945, while most families were tucked away in their beds, eager for Santa's visit, the Sodder family in Fayetteville, West Virginia, faced a tragedy that would forever remain an unsolved mystery. 5 of their 10 children vanished without a trace in the most baffling circumstances. What happened to them that fateful night? Did they perish in the flames, or did something far more sinister unfold? The Sodder family was well known in the town of Fayetteville. George and Jenny Sodder, both Italian immigrants, had built a life together in the United States. They had 10 children, ranging from toddlers to young adults: John, Joe, Marion, George Jr., Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, Betty, and Sylvia. George ran a successful trucking business, and the family was known for their hard work and close-knit bond. Yet, not all was peaceful for the Sodders. George had strong political opinions, often speaking out against Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, which caused friction with other members of the Italian immigrant community. It wasn't uncommon for George to receive threats, but he dismissed them until the night everything changed. It was Christmas Eve, 1945. Marion, the eldest daughter, gifted her younger siblings with new toys, and they eagerly stayed up late to play. Around 10 p.m., Jenny sent some of the kids off to bed. George, Jenny, and 4 of the children eventually fell asleep. At around midnight, a strange phone call rang through the house. Jenny answered, but the voice on the other end, a woman asking for someone she didn't recognize. In the background, she could hear the clinking of glasses, as if coming from a lively gathering, along with bursts of loud laughter. She apologized to the caller, suggesting that it was likely a mistake, and received a strange, unsettling laugh in response. Feeling puzzled, she noticed that the curtains were still open and the lights remained on. Marion had fallen asleep on the sofa, and assuming the younger children had gone back to their rooms, she made a mental note to remind them about turning off the lights. They were usually good about it, though. With a lingering sense of unease, she made her way back to bed. Hours later, at approximately 1:30 a.m., Jenny awoke to the sound of something hitting the roof. A loud thump, followed by a rolling noise. She thought nothing of it and went back to sleep. But shortly after, she smelled smoke. Jenny woke George, and they discovered that the house was ablaze. They managed to escape with 4 of their children: John, George Jr., Marion, and Sylvia. But the 5 others, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were trapped upstairs. Or so it seemed. George attempted to rescue them, breaking a window to re-enter the house, but thick smoke and flames blocked his way. He rushed to grab a ladder that always stood beside the house, but strangely, it was missing. He then tried to use one of his trucks to reach the upstairs window, but mysteriously, neither of his 2 trucks would start, despite having worked perfectly the day before. Within 45 minutes, the house was reduced to ashes, and the 5 children were gone, vanished into the night. By morning, the ashes of the Sodder home were examined. Firefighters initially suggested that the 5 children had perished in the flames, but something didn't add up. No remains were found, no bones, no ash, nothing. An official investigation concluded that the fire was caused by faulty wiring, but George and Jenny weren't convinced. After all, the house's Christmas lights had stayed on, during the early stages of the fire, suggesting that the electrical system was intact. The family found other strange details. A missing ladder from their yard was discovered down an embankment 75 feet away. A telephone repairman found that the wires to the house had been cut, not burned, contrary to what the fire department claimed. And Jenny recalled the strange object that hit the roof before the fire, a small green rubber-like ball. Could it have been an incendiary device? It seemed possible. Over the years, several theories have emerged. Some believe the children were kidnapped. A witness came forward claiming to have seen a car with Florida plates watching the Sodder children as they returned from school just days before the fire. And in the months following the tragedy, Jenny spotted a photo of school children in New York that looked remarkably like her missing kids. Others suspect the mafia. George's outspoken views against Mussolini could have made him a target. The threats he received hinted at dire consequences if he didn't change his tune. Could the fire have been a cover-up for a planned abduction meant to teach George a lesson? And then there's the insurance salesman who visited the Sodders weeks before the fire, warning them that their house would burn down and that the children would be destroyed due to George's criticism of Mussolini. Was this merely a coincidence or a veiled threat that came to pass? Another theory involves a conspiracy by local authorities. Many questioned why the fire chief advised George to bulldoze the site just days after the fire, potentially destroying crucial evidence. Why was the investigation so hastily closed? And why did the firefighters take so long to respond, arriving hours after the fire had consumed the home? Years later, in the 1960s, the Sodders received a mysterious photograph in the mail, an image of a young man who bore a striking resemblance to their son, Louis. Written on the back were cryptic words, Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, hey lil boys, a 90132 or 35. The family hired a private investigator to follow up, but he vanished without a trace. And also, there was no return address mentioned on that envelope. This was also considered as a joke on Sodder family on their situation. George and Jenny Sodder dedicated the rest of their lives to searching for their missing children. They put up a billboard along Route 16, displaying photographs of the 5 missing kids and offering a reward. The sign stood until the 1980s as a haunting reminder of the unresolved mystery. George passed away in 1969, Jenny in 1989, still clinging to the hope that they would one day find answers. Today, the surviving Sodder children and their descendants continue to seek closure, but the case remains open, a cold mystery that has perplexed investigators for nearly 80 years. Theories abound, but no one knows what really happened that night. Were the children victims of a tragic fire, or did they escape the flames only to face a darker fate? So, what do you think really happened to the missing Sodder children? Was it a tragic accident, or is there a darker secret hiding in the ashes of that Christmas Eve? The answers seem lost to time, but maybe, just maybe, someone out there holds the key to solving this chilling mystery. Let us know your theories in the comments below, and remember, some mysteries never rest.